book is, obviously it says meaningful, but it's business oriented and she's reflecting on, and I'm gonna play you excerpts from the beginning, but she's reflecting on the internet and these large businesses and the meaning and, you know, that they brought to the table. I may not be able to get this to work, Sheila. Do you have that other black one? For some reason, it's not picking it up. Do you have that black one that, I used to, the black sneaker? It used to be on Elliot's desk. I got it, Sheila. Sorry. Have to press on the button longer.
Then all we have to do, or questions are important, then all we have to do is answer them. Bart Ingalls, architect. Best, most meaningful work. Everything he needed, and he didn't know it. Every day counts. The two most important things we can do are to allow ourselves to be seen and to really see others. The greatest gift you can give a person is to see who she is and to reflect that back to her. When we help people to be who they want to be, to take back some of the permission they deny themselves, we are doing our best, most meaningful work. I see. The story of this book. First of all, we really need to care about the people we are designing for, understand what their dreams and desires and priorities are, and then we have to use that understanding as the driving force of the work we put forward. Because the second we know what questions are important, then all we have to do is answer them. Bart Ingalls, architect. There has never been a more exciting or unpredictable time to be in business. The internet has enabled the democratization of opportunity by allowing us to find and connect with potential customers anywhere in the world. And increasingly, it provides new ways to succeed by helping entrepreneurs and innovators to create value for the people they want to serve. What I've come to realize through working with companies from Fortune 500s to businesses run by soloists is that whether we are business owners, content creators, or directors of sales, innovation, or marketing, our working lives are full of opportunities, either taken or more often missed, to create meaning and value for people. Mostly we're still working in silos and divorcing our ideas and innovations from our marketing because we're failing to understand and put first what really matters to the customer. Let me explain. Typically, when we have an idea for a product or service, even in companies with big research and development budgets, that product or service is often created without considering deeply enough what the customer's unmet need is and what the marketing will look, feel, and sound like. Early on in the process, we are so focused on ideation and creation that we forget to think about the story we will ask the customer to believe when the product launches. And so we miss an opportunity to make the product or service better. The innovator considers it his mission to create the best app, phone, car, shoe, or platform, and then he hands it off to the marketing department to tell the story to the customer. Even entrepreneurs working on their own, iterating rapidly to bring a minimum viable product to market, mostly begin with the idea, knowing that they can and will tweak the product based on user feedback down the track. As I worked with clients, I kept hitting iterating on this same problem over and over again. They were working hard to bring ideas to market and enlisting my help with the storytelling part after the idea was fully formed. Their first focus was almost completely on the idea itself, when it should have been on the prospective user or customer. In fact, it would have been much easier if they hadn't begun with the idea at all, but had started with the customer's story instead. By story, I don't simply mean what the customer says she wants or insists she would buy. The customer story considers not just what the customer tells you, but also what you hear her say and what you notice her do or be unable to do. Things you see her wrestle with or avoid. Those that pull her up short and the things that bring her joy too. The blueprint I am sharing with you in this audiobook helps you to start with the customer's story. This blueprint started out as a seed of an idea when I was working with a global brand to breathe life into their product stories, which began in the innovation department. Understanding who their customers were, those customers' needs, and their hopes and dreams became the jumping-off point for both product innovation and marketing. If marketing is about making people aware of the value you create, to do that you have to unlock the value in your story. If innovation is about creating value, to do that well, you must unlock the value in the stories of the people you hope to serve. Traditionally, we innovate in the hope that our work will find and satisfy an audience because we know that no innovation, however brilliant, survives unless someone wants to use it. But there are no guarantees, and hope is not a business strategy. No business thrives unless it creates difference for the people who are willing to exchange money, time, or loyalty for the value that difference brings to their lives. The irony is that while we've been focused on building more efficient factories and platforms to make better products and services, the reason for those factories and platforms to exist has often been put to one side. Behind the closed doors of innovation departments of Fortune 500 companies and in startup garages around the world, many product development teams, entrepreneurs, and business owners are trying to create opportunities and products that they hope people will buy and fall in love with. Or is that fall in love with and buy? Product development teams are looking for a technological advantage that enhances the features and benefits of their products and services. Engineers are wrestling with processes, materials, molecules, and lines of 100 companies.
Rewinding
Hope
to that.
is not a business strategy.
Hope is not a
No
business strategy.
business thrives unless it creates difference for the people who are willing to exchange money, time, or loyalty for the value that difference brings to their lives. The irony is that while we've been focused on building more efficient factories and platforms to make better products and services, the reason for those factories and platforms to exist has often been put to one side. Behind the closed doors of innovation departments of Fortune 500 companies and in startup garages around the world, and to show them their wings. The best products and services in the world don't simply invite people to say, "This is awesome." They remind people how great they themselves are. Relevance is the new requirement. I will never again see the taxi driver who picked me up from JFK Airport. He doesn't need to worry about the impression he leaves when he tries to overcharge me for a fraught ride without a seatbelt in a dirty cab. And he doesn't care if it's me or 100 other visitors he sees in his rearview mirror tomorrow. Contrast that with the experience delivered by the Lyft app, which is disrupting the transportation industry around the world by connecting drivers with people who want a ride. Lyft knows when I last booked a car. They know who drove me, exactly how long it took, where he dropped me off, and most important, how I felt when the journey ended and I left my review as the driver pulled away. When I returned to the same hotel for the third time in 18 months, the people at the reception desk asked me again if this is my first time to stay with them. How is it possible in 2015 that the receptionist doesn't know? She tells me with a smile not to forget the wine hour. Free wine for an hour every night before dinner is obviously the highlight of many a trip. So why am I expecting her to know that I don't drink wine and to understand that her comment is completely irrelevant to me? My Airbnb host meets my oldest son to prepare for the arrival of the rest of the family in Sydney the following week. They have a cup of tea together, and she discovers that we love good coffee and might use the local gym. So she plots out the great coffee places on a map, stocks up on espresso pods, and leaves her gym membership card out for us, just in case we feel like using it. I can roam the floors of Barnes & Noble for hours on end, and not one assistant will make a recommendation to me, because they have no idea what kinds of books I might be interested in. Amazon's business model is built on knowing exactly what I want and giving me as many shortcuts to that as possible. When I was growing up in the 70s, our local butcher knew what cuts of meat my mother would buy on any given day. He knew when we had visitors from England and when money was tight because of how my mother's shopping habits changed. He made a mental note of that kind of information so that he could use it to better serve her, and he did that for every one of his customers. Ironically, progress, growth, and innovation led customers not to expect the same level of personalised service anymore. For several decades, while giant corporations dominated the business landscape and monopolies reigned, customers were treated like a homogeneous group to be talked at and sold to. Today, there is a shift. Technology is helping us to once again embrace the values of the time when business was about seeing the individual customer. But it's not the technology in isolation, particular platforms, or specialised functionality that's driving the change. What's driving this new wave of relevance is the humanity of the entrepreneurs and business owners who create the products and user experiences that people love. Technology is not just taking us forward, it's taking us back. It's giving us back the ability to better understand our customers so that we can not only be useful but also important to the people we serve. Upstarts like Lyft and Airbnb are stealing a march on their competitors, not just because they have information about their customers, but because they are intentionally building organisations that use that information to create better experiences, ones that make people feel good and give them a story to tell. As customers, what we crave more than the commodity we think we're paying for is to be understood. What we want more than a reliable ride to our destination, a comfortable bed for the night, or even a book that we can get our teeth into, is to really be seen. What we want more than responsive organisations is personal relevance.
There's a ton more, but is that helpful? That talk to you guys or not really?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I was listening to this when I was running, so I was hitting bookmark and I can't figure out some of the other ones, but there was some in there that she talked about, like Apple and whatnot, but so what I really want to draw in on this is, I thought that was huge where she said, hope is not a business strategy. And no business thrives unless they bring a difference to their clients, which is the truest statement I've ever heard, especially in our industry. GCs are a dime a dozen. And unless we're showing that we're different and that we're making a difference in our clients' lives, it's just that, right? It's no different than walking into the aisle of crackers and there's 35 different ones. Which ones do you get? I want to do the one that's on sale, right? Low bid. So for us to change brings good things. We're going to miss Marla. She's going to continue on doing what she was doing before. And that's great, and we wish her the best. For us, it's an opportunity to embrace the change that's coming, the new person that's coming in, create that team with them, and find that opportunity to make the difference in our clients' lives. So some of the things that she was saying in the beginning, care for the people that we're designing for. Same thing, care for the people that we're building for. What really matters to the customer. So what is that? Price, getting the job done on time. So what I really wanting to get with this is that high level to remember what we're doing here. Why we show up to work every day. And the days when it gets tough, the meaning of DBG construction, and that meaning is we are providing the best experience for our clients. And we need to remember that on a day-to-day basis. When they don't return our phone calls, or so we're dealing with multiple clients, the subcontractors, the architects, and the individual that we're building for. We have to remember when the architect doesn't return our call, or they're short, or they're having a bad day and they yell at you. Remember, what about their story? What is going on to them? What's happening to them? How can you help them? How can we make their lives better, make a difference? That's what they're going to remember, and that's why they're going to keep coming back to us. I was at Dunlop Cotting yesterday, and Doug was there, and so I stopped in and said hi, and he was telling me that he's finally going to build that onto his house. He has this really old house, and he's been wanting to build onto it. He goes, remember, this is when I met him 8 years ago. And he goes, remember those plans that so-and-so did for me, and I wanted you to build on the back of the house, and you told me you wouldn't do it. And I said, yeah. He goes, I'm sure you're still not going to do it for me. He goes, but Red Eagle did my garage construction, because he has a freestanding garage. And he said, I just really wasn't happy with that. And he goes, after working with you guys, there's just no going back. And I was like, no, whatever. I literally said that to him. I was like, no, there's no way, whatever. He goes, no, really. He goes, the attention, the communication. He's like, there's no difference, right? And I said, well, I'll see what I can do. What I can do to help you out. I said, I don't know any home builders I can refer, but I'll do something, right? I'll be there and make sure that you get a good experience. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. Relevance is the new requirement. We have to make ourselves relevant to our clients, so when they write that check, they write it happily. They're spending tons of money with us. I know for Dunlop Cotting, we, till this day, are still relevant to them, because they have a roll-up banner that every time they have a party, which is on a weekly basis, they open up that banner. So I want to emphasize what she's taught, like that hotel experience. I thought that was pretty funny, where she's like, I've been to this hotel 3 times. And she makes the comment that it's ridiculous that in this day and age, I assume they know that I don't drink wine. I assume they would know I've been here for 3 times. Well, that makes sense. We should in this day and age. Amazon gives you recommendations today based on everything you've been buying up for the last 5 years. Those are the expectations people see of us. We have clients that are institutional, so they're going to be building forever, and so they deal with GCs all the time. And so they are pinning us against them. And so the taxi driver experience. You're going to have a lot of those experiences where that might be the first and last time you ever talk to that person for whatever reason it is. If it's just insurance, if it's a supplier that we need that one last minute item from, if we're ordering something from the internet and we call them to verify. Their only time with the person on that phone may be that one moment. But if you're cordial and you're respectful and you listen to them, it goes a long way and you may get what you need. So I think that the great one, that hotel experience and the Airbnb, where she said our Airbnb host leaves them her gym card out and stocks up the espresso pods and then gives us a map of all the cool coffee shops. That's the forward thinking that I want all of us to be doing. How can we make that experience that much better for the client? So today we're following up, Tanya and I, with Michael Burns at OCU on a payment. And so instead of just asking for a payment, she's like, well, she had already did actually. And he gave us an answer. So instead of just saying thank you, we responded back and we said, thank you, Michael, for your time. Can you please help us understand the accounting process? This way it allows us to know who to send the invoice to and who to contact and when can we expect payment. And so that's the forethought that I want to go into every action that you're doing. Vicki Knox at New Margaret. What is her, right? She has her own client. Understand her story first, and then you can move forward. What is her story? Her story is she's a commercial broker. She's trying to put a client into an office space for the minimum amount of money for as fast as it can happen. So that's what we have to address and basically let her know that we understand this is her objective. Nick at State of Norman shows that we care and understand that he has almost $2 million worth of ADA work that is out of code, and we'll do our best to make it go away. And we understand his problems, and we understand his bottom line and that return on investment for them. And that's just as important to us as it is to them. Those are the people that they want to build with. Someone that's a partner with them, that's not working against them, that's working with them. So I didn't want to take up too much time. There's a lot more excerpts. I'll re-listen to it, and maybe, if we have time, we can listen to more excerpts next time. But I wanted to get your feedback on this. I loved that her blueprint was an infinity. I thought that was pretty interesting. And where that opportunity. So the opportunity lies in solving somebody's problem. That's what we're doing every day. We're solving people's problems, and that's where our opportunity lies. So that's where that uptake comes in. And what do? We're providing the solution. What's the result of that solution? Tangible and rational benefits. And then what comes next? Your intangible emotional benefits, and then the problem is solved. So there's not solution and problem solved. It's solution, tangible, rational benefits, then the emotional and intangible benefits. That's what we're forgetting about. Yeah, we're building a building, but what is that emotional and intangible benefit that's going to stay with them forever? And it's what stayed with Dunlap right now forever. Julie, when I walked in, she said, Dima, even today when people walk in here, they're just so amazed and excited. I think this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. They're just, they're in awe. She goes, they just walk around like this, like it's a museum. That was so fulfilling. And we can and will get that from our clientele. It's very, very possible. We just have to be cognizant. So when you're doing punch out and finishing that out for the client, what is the emotional side to this to them? They're an institutional they're an institutional client. So for them, it's the life of this building for the next 30 and 40 years, and what is that going to look like when they pass it on to the next generation? And then the end result is that perception changed. And that's what we did for Doug. And that's why when I was like, you don't really, and he's like, no, really, Dima. I could never go build with anybody else. Which is pretty cool because we planned ahead for them. We put columns in there, and so we can build a 2-story building and then cantilever over this top building and not even ever interrupt and destruct them below. And so that's that perception change that we created. Thoughts? Feedback?
Who's the author of the book?
It's actually there. It's Bernadette Jawa, J-I-W-A. And what I'm going to do is, with Sheila's help, I want to create an Audible, Sheila, and we'll just use like the accounting email, and we'll download Audible on your phones, and this will be the first book that I put on there, and then you guys can all listen to it. And I can download some other books. It's great, to listen if you're working out, or when you're driving in and driving out. It makes that drive go faster.
I was just reminded of a quote when you were talking about the emotional side of it, because you think it's business, they want to pay this and get this, and that's the end of it, but it's really not, because there's a quote that says people will forget what you did, they'll forget what you said, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. And if you make your client or whoever you're dealing with feel like they're being heard, that the information that they've provided you is valuable to you, and you're making that happen, that will surpass all of the problems. If we drop the ball or something, they're more prone to be forgiving and move past that if you've shown to them that you're listening and that you value them as people and their needs. So
That's a great point to it. Dunlop Cotting was not without problems. We had to supplement a subcontractor on that job, and he almost cost us getting that job done by December 31st, which we had a $250,000 fine if we didn't finish that job on December 31st. But it's just like Sheila said, we'd been listening to the client all the way through. He knew what was going on. He knew that this guy was sabotaging us, and he didn't want to see us succeed. But it was just that. We had him. We were a team. The client and us were a team. And so we keep saying team and all the corniness of together, everyone achieves more, but there's so much damn truth to that. It's not even funny. And the team is the client, the architect, the subcontractor, and DBG. It's everybody. So that's an awesome point. It's very, very true. Anything else?
Jasmine, you were about to say something?
Oh, it was my question earlier.